Welcome to Channel X TV, sponsored by Volo, and delighted to be joined by Ed Bradley today from Virtualstock. So, welcome, Ed. How are you?
Thank you very much, Chris. Very well, thank you. Yes, really good to be here.
Excellent. Well, I want to find out a bit more about Virtualstock, but before we start, I just want to throw some names out there of some of the
Mhm.
businesses that you've been working with, from the range to Benson's with Beds to Kingfisher. Robert Dyer. You seem to be working with sort of half the high street at the moment. But what I want to explore really is how brands can get their products onto those retailer websites
Mhm.
and maybe even in store. So, just to start with, who are you, Ed? What do you do? And tell us a little bit about Virtualstock and how you do help these brands get their goods onto high street brands' websites.
Sure. Well, thank you, Chris. So, Virtualstock is a British technology company. We've been running for 20 years now, and we operate in the retail space. We have a platform that we've built from the ground up, which has been designed specifically to allow bricks and mortar retailers to compete with the likes of Amazon online. Now, we often say that there's two ways as a retailer that you can grow your business. You can add customers or you can add products. We help them add products. So we have a one-to-many connection through our platform. We connect to a retailer's set of systems, often quite complex systems, and then we open up a network of suppliers that they can feature products from on their website so that they can offer their customers a much broader assortment of products way beyond the range that they would normally
Mm.
stock in store or in their own distribution centers. And so it leverages the distribution capability of many quality suppliers in the UK so that they can deliver directly to the customer's home address or into store for click and collect. So it's a both a revenue play, and there's different models, and we can go into a bit of detail. It's either a drop ship or it's marketplace. We have a capability of doing both, and it's also a way that a retailer can keep the stock holding within their distribution centers really lean and mean, but still offer a broad assortment of products to their
Mm.
customers.
And I think, if we're honest, this has been something that's been going on for years,
Yeah.
decades. Because,
Hmm.
I mean, I'm thinking about when you do something like you go to a retailer like Argos and buy a garden shed, they don't have it in stock. It's
Right.
not delivered by Argos, it comes from the shed manufacturer direct. So, this is really,
Yeah.
I think, just digitizing something that it has been routine in the retail industry.
Yeah.
But what I find really exciting is that I might be a relatively small brand and I can get my product onto one of these high street names websites.
Mm.
So, how does it actually work? Can I apply to go on Benson's for Beds or go on Wilco's website or Kingfisher's website? Or is it more of a case that I register with you and then Kingfisher, Wilco, whoever chooses my products? How does it actually work?
So it can work any way that the retailer wants it to. I mean, we if we look at the open marketplaces in the market, so the Amazons and the eBays of the world,
Yeah,
clearly there's no restriction at all. Well, very little restriction as to who
yeah.
can sell on those
I want
those
to sell out
platforms.
an account. I list a product.
Right, exactly, and it's open, and you can just go for it. There are different gradations of that with depending on the retail strategy. And so marketplace lends itself very much to much more of an open forum where sellers can apply, they can onboard themselves, they can onboard their product data very quickly, and the idea there is that the more products you put on, the higher the revenue.
Mm.
It's a fairly blunt way of looking at it, but there's a logic there.
And we have
Whereas,
seen retailers opening up their own marketplaces, from Debenhams to
right,
Superdrug to the JD
yes,
Sports to being.
that's right. And it's true to say that that is a growing trend. However, there is also a movement in the market where retailers are starting to think, okay, well, opening up a marketplace is great, but it has to be a curated marketplace. It has to be controlled, and the reason it has to be controlled is revenue is only part of the story. If you open up the floodgates to all manner of sellers to sell products on your website, then you're going to have, potentially you're going to have cannibalization of your existing business, especially own brand. So own brand is where a lot of the retailers make significant margin, and you want to protect that margin. You don't want sellers coming in and just taking that market share on your own website. It can be very dangerous for a retailer's profitability. But also, some of the brands, these retail brands are counted upon by their customers to have the products that they expect them to have. So the example I always use is Wix. So if you imagine Wix is in a very, very strategic position. They're not a Screwfix, and they're not a Homebase. So you can go into a Wix and you're not going to find lots of garden gnomes and laundry baskets and all that sort of thing. But you're also not going to go and find huge arrays of aggregate and heavy side equipment as well. But it is the tradesperson's go-to store, because they're relied upon to have a very, very comprehensive range of professional products. If they stray too far one way or the other, then they're going to lose that brand identity. And that's a really super important thing. So the brand of the retailer needs to be protected by careful, curated products that they put on in a thoughtful, strategic way, and not just opening it up to everyone. And so how we help with that is that lends itself better to drop shipping than to marketplace. So drop shipping, you very rightly said at the beginning there, that drop shipping has been going for a million years, and it used to be for garden sheds, big heavy equipment that
it's everything. Even buying a sofa, it's often drop shipped.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
G-Plan sell in loads and loads of stores, but when your G-Plan sofa arrives, it comes direct from G-Plan.
Yeah, exactly. So, so large bulky items have always been drop shipped. Now, as the retailer's looking at that function, and they're thinking, okay, well, if we just expanded this, if we could expand this without adding more costs to the business, then that's a very good strategic direction for us to go, because it's a revenue generator, online. But what's very important, the difference between dropship and marketplace is that dropshipping, the retailer is the merchant of record. So the retailer gets to dictate what suppliers are operational in dropship, what product ranges get to be put on the website, what the sell price is, and therefore what gross margin they're going to make. And then the customer experience is the responsibility of the retailer. With marketplace, that all gets outsourced to thousands of sellers. And although you can explode your range of products online,
it adds reputational risk.
That's right, because you're getting sort of fraction. A lot of the time, a retailer will say, well, this isn't, you've got to go and talk to the seller to sort that problem out. And that's not what a customer wants to hear. They bought it from this retailer. They want to talk to that retailer about a return or a cancellation or whatever it is that they're doing. So you've got to be very careful with the blend of dropship and marketplace. And so back to your original question, how does a supplier become a supplier to a large retailer? Well, if it's dropshipping, they have to apply through the normal route. They have to apply to the buying team, and then they have to demonstrate that their wares are, their goods are good enough for that retail brand to sell, and they have to negotiate a sell price and all that sort of thing. So, I mean, that's the sort of traditional route. What we do is we just give visibility of the stock levels within those supply locations, and we track and trace the order life cycle, so that a customer will always know where their order is. So yeah,
I think there's two things I want to explore in a bit more detail. First of all, what sort of shape supplier, what size, what scale, what verticals should be looking to engage with these high street brands? But first, I want to dig into the high street brands themselves. And what's the typical high street brand that can really benefit from this? I mean, we've mentioned some like Benson's for Beds and Robert Dyer's, two very, very different businesses. One's beds and one's just about anything from household appliances through DIY to almost camping. So where do you see this going on the high street? What type of high street retailer should be being switched on by this conversation and say, actually, we could do this as well?
All of them. So we power all the drop shipping for John Lewis, for Sainsbury's Argos, for Currys, for and B2B as well. So Nisbets that do hospitality kitchen equipment and all that sort of thing. That all goes through our platform. So we've got a lot of retailers that are real mainstay. We signed Asda very recently as well. So grocers. Specialist retailers, B&Q, Screwfix. We've got all use our platform to power their dropship or marketplace proposition. Now, the categories are limitless. It's not category specific. There are some categories that lend themselves slightly better to marketplace than dropship. Fashion is one, because the fashion brand tends to know what the range is because they're seasonal. So they're the ones that are best placed to advise the retailer as to what range they should have. And then some lend themselves much better to dropship, where the retailer wants to take control of that customer experience. So it's a blend of the two. But every single retailer should be looking at an extended range strategy, because gone are the days where you can just sell 30,000 products online because that's how many SKUs you've got in your warehouse. Those days are gone. You need to have a comprehensive range of products that you are known for as a retailer, because your customers expect to be able to go on a bit of a process of discovery within your website and be advised as to what the best products are for them. And so yeah, I mean I know I would say that, but it's every retailer.
I know exactly what you mean. I was at a conference about a decade ago, and Currys, who you mentioned, was speaking. And they said that they discovered people were looking on Currys for sewing machines, and they'd never sold a sewing machine, never had a sewing machine before. But you know what? By that Christmas, they were selling sewing machines, and it was phenomenal because people just wanted the product and thought they should be selling it.
Absolutely. We advise our retailers that the best place to start looking for the ranges of product that should be selling is on your own, the search terms that are being entered into your website, and what do you not supply. And one of our retailers, they found that mobility scooters were being searched for, and they didn't sell them. So we hooked up a mobility scooter supplier and filled that gap. And so that's a very good place to start, because it really, the demand is there.
Now, I want to talk finance, because it's great to have the extended range and keep your customers happy, but you've got to make money. So what sort of range of sort of margin does the high street brand make on third-party sales? And I know that can be a very wide story. I mean, on eBay, Amazon, you're talking maybe 10 or 15%, but then with sponsored brands or promoted listings, maybe 20% or something. But what kind of margins are the high street looking for?
So you certainly make more margin on dropship than you do on marketplace. I mean, marketplace, you're making a commission, so you're making the sort of the 10% or whatever. But you're making very, very decent margins on dropship product. The key to remember, though, is that you need to take into account the net profitability, not just the gross profitability. And that's a change of mindset for the retailer, because the buyers in a retailer will be focused on gross margin. Yep. Whereas actually, if you're not stocking that product, then you don't have any warehousing costs, you don't have any shrinkage, you don't have any obsolescence, you don't have any of that additional cost. So some of our retailers, they have a rule that is, as long as unless the margin is double what they would expect to get from dropship, then they don't stock it. So they will stock the product if the margin is double what they would get from drop shipping it, and most of it goes to dropship. So the by far the bulk of the products that they sell now are direct delivery through drop shipping, because you don't have all of that hidden cost, all of that below the line cost. And so from a profitability perspective, that is the case. But what drop shipping should also do is it should work hand in hand with your own distribution center, your own stocked products. So if you're noticing that in your own warehouse you've got products becoming obsolete or slow moving, then move them into dropship, clear them out of your warehouse, free up that space, free up that cash. And then if something's going super fast and it's on a dropship item, then bring it into stock, buy it in bulk, buy pallet loads of it, and screw the supplier down for the best price that you can possibly get, and get the best gross margin. So drop shipping in your own distribution center should work, and the product should ebb and flow between the two as you profile your range of products, and so you're constantly measuring the profitability, and that's the practice of a healthy retail operation. One other thing to add to that, because your point before touched on, well, what is a supplier? What size of supplier? What sort of shape?
But that's
and size
the final question I wanted to ask for those people that have product. How big do I need to be? What scale do I need to be? Can I ship from a single location, or do I need to be a national that's got stock all over the country?
The answer is it's almost every different shape and size. So to give you some names of the suppliers on our platform: Sony, Samsung, Whirlpool, Apple. They are
big names,
huge, big manufacturers drop shipping on behalf of the retailers in the country right now, and we're hooked up to pretty much all of the main white goods suppliers and domestic appliance suppliers and fashion brands and all that sort of thing. So big brands. Then you have the distributors. So you have the Tech Datas, the Ingram Micros, the Tool Banks, the Gartner's Books, the big. These are huge, great big distribution centers, highly automated, very, very good at drop shipping, very good at white labeling or branding on behalf of the retailer. But the thing to remember with those type of organizations is, although they're highly skilled in drop shipping, their service levels are incredibly good and the accuracy of their data is fantastic. So too, they're selling commodity products. So the easier they are and the better they are to sell these, the more
tighter the margin.
That's right. The tighter the margin, the less profitable it's going to be on your site. So what you want to do as a retailer is you also want to sort of blend it with smaller suppliers. Now, anecdotally, we always call the sort of lowest denominator the gritting salt guy. So there are suppliers on our platform who have literally a garden shed, some gritting salt, and a laptop, and they when it snows outside, they've got to ship these products because they're in high demand, and they will receive the orders through our platform, and they will update their their inventory levels through the platform and things. And of course, there are an array of those type of suppliers, that with especially in the sort of home accessories type categories that are very, very niche. They may not be selling on many different retailers' websites, but they've got very good quality products. So if you give them a platform that allows them to achieve the service levels that you're looking for as a retailer, then suddenly you've got a much less commoditized range of products and a much higher margin expectation. Therefore, you blend all of those things together and you've got yourself an average basket value and an average basket profitability metric to look at, and you're offering your customer a wide range of products to choose from. So that's the thing. It should be a mixture of all of those different components.
So this has been fascinating. I've just got two questions left, which is how do people get hold of you? And I'm going to split that into, if I'm a high street retailer and I want to get more assortment on my website, where do I go for more information? And possibly a slightly different answer, if I'm a retailer, or maybe I'm a pure play online retailer and I've got stock and I want to put it in more places, again, how do I get hold of you? Or do I go to the shops direct, or do I come to you first?
So you can go either. Obviously, our retailers are out and about looking for suppliers all the time. We have about 7,500 dropship suppliers on our platform as it is. So we're very used to suppliers contacting us and asking us for introductions to our retailers. We're very happy to help out. Whether the retailer selects the supplier or not is totally between the supplier and the retailer themselves. We don't charge suppliers anything. That's our business model. Is so we're completely agnostic. So we don't sort of highlight a supplier or recommend a supplier necessarily, but we're happy to make an introduction. We're having our own summit in September, on September the 5th in Ham Yard in Soho. And you can get in touch with us through our website to apply for that. All of our retailers are going to be there, as well as retailers who we're talking to about installing our platform. So you can contact us through virtualstock.com. Or come through directly to me, ed.bradley@virtualstock.com, and I'll be happy to direct anyone in the right to my colleagues who can help.
Fantastic. Ed, I want to thank you so much for your time today. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Good to meet you.